What do you know about the Rendon situation? Obviously, we've seen him play, not play, but like there's so many things surrounding for me that like he's now having hip surgery, like it just he didn't know that this was coming, or he just get hurt? Does a team have insurance on his contract? Is that a normal regular thing? Because we hear about the Strasburg contract. They weren't able to get it. They still went through with it.
Yeah, I don't know why they haven't released the player. It must be Artie Moreno. Obviously, Perry Manazian didn't sign him. It was done by Billy Epler before he got there, and Artie Moreno signed off on it. Player should have been released 2 years ago. He can't play. He's done. He can't play when he's healthy. He can't play when he's not healthy. It's been one of the biggest busts of any free agent signing in this era. It's been a total disaster. And I said this, and the people in Washington didn't like it when I said the Nationals shouldn't re-sign him. And they're like, how can you say that? We just won the World Series. This guy was a top 5 MVP. Because he doesn't like baseball. That's not. It's like J.D. Drew. They don't love baseball. They play because it's a job. It's work for him. But there's no incentive past that. Look, he could really hit in his prime. He always had injury prone when he came up with Seattle. He was injury prone when he was drafted. He did have a nice little snapshot of a career. But, you got to be careful with these guys that get into their 30s and you sign free agent contracts, because a lot of these guys don't work out. It takes a special work ethic and a special human being to be able to keep yourself in top condition throughout your 30s, to be able to play late in your 30s. And the way I look at Rendon, I don't want to waste my time or voice or energy. I don't think we'll ever see him play a game again. I don't. If they want to put him on the emergency IL and keep paying him, that's fine. They can do that. I would release the player and just move on.
I'm so with you, JB. I've been saying it for a while now, and I'm like, if there's anything to karma, if you just get the name off the roster, I feel like they improve right away. You know what I'm saying? It's always a stain, and it's always something that actually kind of dominates the headlines around a team when you're like, can we talk about Zach Neto? Can we talk about Logan O'Hoppe? Can we talk about Trout coming back? It's just negative. So I'm with you.
You know what I learned? I learned, Scott, as a GM, and I learned it early. When you make a mistake as a GM or an owner or manager, whoever's making the personnel decision, if you make a mistake, the worst thing you can do is to keep looking at the mistake. Just move on. We're all going to make mistakes. Players aren't going to live up to our expectations. That's going to happen. Or you just made a bad trade or a bad free agent signing and it's on you. Either way, doesn't matter. You don't have to keep looking at it. And, sometimes an owner will sit there and go, wow, we got to pay this guy X amount. Okay, but if he can't perform and can't play, we made a mistake. We just have to admit to it and then move on, because your team will always be better. The sooner you move on from a mistake than looking at it, it's going to be better for the culture of the team, the performance of the team, and it's going to be better for the player too, to be honest.
Alden Gonzalez said, I think on TV, and this is where Behind the Halo captured the quote, and Alden's on ESPN, talking to people who know Anthony Rendon, the thought is he might just retire. Hip surgery is a huge undertaking. He's got only 1 year left on his contract after this season. I got to think this is the end. I don't think he plays another game with the Angels. Okay.
Hip surgery is no joke, man.
Yeah, but he can't really retire. He's got to still go through the process and try to get back on the field, unless he gets, whatever that medical exemption kind of thing is that says you can't play anymore. I don't think that's going to be the case. So he's going to have to go through the process and try and get himself back for, I guess, next season. But what are we really doing here at this point, Todd Father?
You first off, you get the hip surgery. I mean, you're not going to go, half-hearted into it. You want your hip to be better. This guy's going to, if I'm him, I mean, just to, keep my psyche involved. I want my hip to be good for future in life. I want, eventually down the road, if he, I don't know if he has kids or he want to have kids or cousins or nieces or nephews, he's going to want to play baseball with them, hopefully, in sports and be able to function. So that, and you're not going to want to lose out on that money too as well. I mean, that's just human nature as well. So he's definitely not going to retire. I mean, I shouldn't say definitely not, but I don't think he will. It's something that, there's a lot of money on the line here, and, he's got 1 more year. Will he ever be an Angel again and get on the field? That's later to be seen. You know,
Okay.
I'm not sure.
Well, then let's poll it. Raise your hand if you think Anthony Rendon plays another game for the Angels. Okay.
Man, it's
He's,
hard.
he's
Raise
not
your hand
playing another game.
if you think he retires.
He's not retiring. Kratz. Actually, here's what's going to happen. They're not going to buy out the deal. He's just going to be out of the picture, and he can kind of slow play the rehab process. I don't know the exact details of the surgery. I don't even know if he had the surgery yet. It sounds like everyone's just kind of done with each other. They could technically just say, here's your money, go away, or he could just be hanging around. I guess on the roster in the offseason is the problem, Kratz. So we get through this season, he doesn't play, and then you're back on the 40-man roster. It just gives you one less spot to work with. Remember, the Nats were doing that with Strasburg until they gave in and said, Uncle, we're done. So you could do that after this season. I feel like on his side, he's going to take his time. He doesn't want to play, and he's going to tell us that, straightforward at some point probably in his life. Like, hey, you just know there's going to be some random podcast that's not even necessarily sports related. He's going to be like, I just didn't want to play ball and my body was failing me. And so I just was done.
When you look at a guy like Rendon, you look at him and you go, wow, this dude is like, he's just stone cold. Like he's up there, he's battling every pitcher, never really shows much emotion. That's how you talk about Anthony Rendon when he's an MVP candidate, when he's a all-star, when he's helping the Nats win a World Series. Now, when he's not on the field, he's not coming back from injuries as quick as we think he should. Now he's viewed in this way, that he doesn't really like the game of baseball, that his comments are viewed as not like, oh, he's just so, he does a good job of blocking baseball out. It's viewed as a negative. He hasn't changed who he is at all. His production on the field is how we're dictating what type of person he is. And to me, if you are either way, it doesn't really matter. You're not just going through a surgery. So I hope for him, it's just like a cleanup that they can milk and not like, hey, we're going in and getting like a big time hip surgery. But I wish for him that it all had turned out differently because he was a really good player.
Agreed.
Dude, he was a star in college too, but the reason that he dropped a few spots, he was coming out of Rice University, was injuries. He's always had injuries. So that part I'm not going to fault him for. And I just think the body's breaking down. He's like, this is annoying to get on the field now. And he admittedly doesn't love the game, and that's always been the case. So it was a bad idea to make the signing because everyone in baseball knew what his attitude was. And you had to be okay with that and know the risk that he was not going to be David Wright, diagnosed with spinal stenosis and still trying to get on the field. This was the opposite of that. I think that was pretty well known in the sport. But yes, you're right, Kratz. That is what made him great and for a moment legendary as a champion with the Nats in 2019 because he did not give a bleep when he was at the plate. And so the pressure just didn't hit him the same way. He's like, whatever, it's just a game. And a lot of other guys were pressing in those moments. So,
Hey everybody, be sure to like and subscribe for more content.
We're back here every weekday, all year long, so do not miss an episode.
The videos are coming in all day. Here's another video you might enjoy.
Baseball the way it should be covered.